done.
As soon as the movie begins, a young man named Travis checks into a hotel room. When he steps inside, he notices a couple, Victor and Anka, who are packing up to leave. Travis offers them drinks. A moment later, Anka heads into the bathroom to take a bath. Soon after, Victor walks in to ask her something, only to scream in shock the moment he steps inside. He calls for Travis to come quickly. Confused and uneasy, Travis hesitates, but eventually goes in. There, he sees Anka lying unconscious. Panicked, Victor tells Travis to call an ambulance, but before long, Victor himself collapses to the floor, unconscious. A short while later, a group of men arrive and carry both of them away. It's then revealed that Travis had drugged their drinks, knocking them out. Not only that, Travis works for the elite hunting club. When Victor regains consciousness, he finds himself locked inside a dark cell. He has no idea how he got there. Just then, 2 guards arrive and drag Anka away right in front of him. Victor wants to stop them, but he's completely powerless. Next, we meet Scott, a young man set to marry his fiancée Amy in just a week. His buddy Carter takes him to Las Vegas for a bachelor party. There, they meet up with 2 other friends. On their way to a nightclub, they bump into 2 girls, Kendra and Nikki, who invite them to hang out at a place outside the city. All 4 friends jump into a taxi and head out.
All I see is a vacant factory.
When they arrive, they find themselves in a deserted, eerie area. Just then, Scott gets a call from Amy and lingers behind to talk to her, while his friends head off without him. When the call ends, Scott looks for them but finds no one. Suddenly, a masked man grabs him from behind and straps him into a wheelchair. Using a thin tube, the man forces something into Scott's mouth, leaving him terrified. It turns out this was just a prank, planned in advance by his friends. Afterward, they all laugh it off and start partying. During the fun, Kendra pulls Scott aside, while Justin, the only one without a girl, watches silently. Later, Nikki hands Justin her card before leaving with Mike. Meanwhile, when Kendra tries to get closer to Scott, he refuses. He's already been caught cheating on Amy once before and refuses to make the same mistake. Just then, Mike and Nikki return, so Scott and Kendra leave them alone. Soon after, Scott starts feeling sick and steps outside. He notices the same taxi driver still lingering nearby. Scott tries to go back inside, but the door is locked. Suddenly, he collapses, and the taxi driver stands ominously over him. We then see members of the elite hunting club transporting people to an unknown location. The next morning, Scott wakes up to find himself with Carter and Justin, confused and with no memory of how he got there. He asks about Mike, but they tell him Mike went off with Nikki and never came back. Scott tries calling him, but Mike's phone is turned off. They assume Mike will eventually return, but in reality, Mike has already fallen into the hands of the elite hunting club. Locked inside a dark cell, Mike panics. Soon, guards drag him out and strap him to a heavy chair. A group of wealthy elites gather around to watch. They begin betting on how Mike will beg for his life, whether he'll plead for mercy, offer money, or cry out for his family. His very words are up for gambling. A masked man approaches, sketching Mike's outline. Terrified, Mike cries out, "If I die, what will happen to my family?" The crowd erupts. Someone had bet on family and they just won. Then, the masked man commits a horrifying act, peeling the skin off his own face as the audience cheers in grotesque delight. At this point, one thing becomes clear. In the first installment, every victim had a set price. In the second, online bidding was introduced. But in the third, all limits are broken. Bets are now placed on the victims themselves. Meanwhile, using the card Nikki had given him, Justin tracks down her address. She lives in a trailer park. When they get there, the door is locked. Determined to find Mike, they break a window and step inside. Just then, Kendra shows up with a man and points a gun at them. Scott quickly explains they're only looking for Nikki because their friend Mike, who left with her, never came back. Kendra replies that Nikki hasn't returned either. The scene then shifts to Nikki. She's standing in front of clients when suddenly a man releases a swarm of cockroaches onto her. They crawl over her body and into her mouth. Gasping and choking, Nikki struggles desperately, but eventually she suffocates and dies. After this, Kendra joins the search for Nikki. At that point, Travis uses Mike's phone to send Nikki's picture to Justin. He then lures them to a specific location, but as soon as they arrive, they're knocked out cold. They're dragged back to the same club and locked in a cell. Inside, they encounter Victor, who terrifies them by saying they're all going to die. Soon, 2 guards return and take Justin away. He calls one of them over and shows the guard his club tattoo. Because of this, he's freed from the cell. At that moment, it's revealed that Carter was also a member of the same club. Scott, however, has no idea what's going on. The scene shifts to the customer's hall, where Justin is spotted. Carter is there too, keeping a close eye on him. Suddenly, a masked woman enters and aims her weapon at Justin. She fires multiple arrows and finally drives one straight into his head, killing him instantly. This is where the main events begin. Scott is seated in a marked spot, ready to face his death. But the person who steps forward to kill him is none other than his best friend, Carter. Carter admits to Scott that he set everything up. He confesses that he had deep feelings for Amy and couldn't bear the thought of her marrying Scott. With scorn, he tells Scott that he's about to die, after which Carter will console Amy and marry her himself. But fate doesn't follow Carter's plan. At that moment, Travis frees Scott, honoring a request from a client. A brutal fight breaks out between Scott and Carter. Consumed by rage, Scott beats him mercilessly, leaving Carter severely injured. Meanwhile, Victor kills a guard and manages to escape the cell. But in a struggle with another guard, he's killed as well. Scott makes his way into a room filled with the victim's belongings. There he finds a phone and calls the police. By the time Travis shows up, it's too late. The police are already closing in. Soon after, all the customers are evacuated safely. Scott releases Kendra from her cell, and they attempt to escape together. But Travis shoots Kendra in the back, and she collapses instantly. Travis then lunges at Scott, but Scott fights with everything he has, and finally kills him. Meanwhile, Fleming, the keeper of the place, tries to escape, but Carter, who is hiding in a car, ambushes and kills him before driving away. Outside, Carter spots Scott trying to get out. Carter slams the main gate shut, trapping Scott inside. Moments later, the building explodes and collapses. The scene shifts again. Carter is shown comforting Amy after Scott's supposed death. Amy even asks him to stay with her that night. Everything seems to be falling perfectly into Carter's plan. But the truth is different. Scott isn't dead. He's still alive. Together, Scott and Amy capture Carter and tie him up in a basement. Scott then gives him a brutal death, finally claiming his revenge. His burning fury is quenched at last. Evil is destroyed, good triumphs, and Scott and Amy reunite in a hopeful ending. With that, the film concludes.